Hey everyone, welcome to From the Depths. I'm Minty, and this is episode 17 of the Squadron Shootout Season 2 tournament. This episode, we've got Force H by Comrade Ivan going up against the 21st Cruiser Division by Lauch, or Lauk, however you... I still don't know how to say that right, but whatever. So it is a 3-on-3 battle. I think this is the only match we've had where the numbers were exactly the same, but I could be wrong. Who knows? Um, Big difference is it's a battleship, heavy cruiser, and light cruiser versus battleship, battle cruiser, and light cruiser versus 3 heavy cruisers. So yeah, let's get those shells flying. This is another loser's bracket match, so whoever loses this battle will be going home. And with all the hesh on the 21st Cruiser Division, it's probably more or less going to come down to whether or not the I believe it's the King James is the battleship, or is it the King... I forget. Basically, if the King Edward or King James, whichever one it is, can survive the Hesh storm long enough for the battle cruiser to do some damage, because I don't think the Halcyon class light cruiser is really going to be any effective whatsoever in this fight. I believe it's mostly an anti-air platform, and that's not really going to do much to heavy cruisers. And we're losing the tracers of the APS shells because frame rate issues. 2 of the heavy cruisers of the 21st Cruiser Division are colliding at the moment. One of them's down to 80%. Oh yeah, it looks like it had a couple guns get detonated in the front there. So yeah, Force H at 98.4%, while 21st Cruiser is down to 89.8 already. Quite an HP difference for so early in the battle, but that may or may not have been caused by these 2 heavy cruisers colliding. Man, that's killing the frame rate. And now they're both heading towards the 3rd heavy cruiser, which is less than fantastic. I can and will call the battle in favor of your opponent, just like I did with the but on the flip side, it looks like the battleship and battle cruiser of Force H might also be having a little bit of a hug off over here. That, or they're just one's right in front of the other. Yeah, I think the battle cruiser has just gotten out in front of the battleship. I don't think they're actually colliding. At least not yet. But I really need to get over here and see in case I decide to end this because of the insanely low frame rate. I want to make sure, because if it's both of them, then I'll just declare the battle a draw and start over, but because I can't really give the win to Force H if they've also got a collision going on. Hopefully they'll just separate and then the frame rate will get better and then we don't have to worry about it anymore, but for now things are painfully slow. Like, the battlecruiser and the battleship are really close together, but it doesn't look like they're actually colliding right now. And I imagine the battlecruiser is probably faster than the battleship, so a collision isn't likely to happen. But this game does work in weird ways, and sometimes it'll start slowing down just because 2 ships are close to one another without actually touching. But yeah, it took me like 2 minutes just to fly from one fleet to the other with the camera because of this frame rate. But I needed to check this out in case I end up deciding to call this battle because of the collisions and frame rate issues. Because I know I sure as heck don't want to sit here for an hour watching the game crawl along at like 2 frames per second. I doubt any of you guys want to either. Yeah, Force H is not only not colliding, but it seems like the battleship is making the smart turn and actually moving away from the battlecruiser. They may have collided at some point, but they no longer are. So let's begin the ridiculously painful process of flying back to the 21st cruiser, where I think all 3 of the cruisers have piled up. It would probably be faster if I just do this. I know it's going to be a little bit, you know, jarring. For me to jump the camera around like this, but... Oh! Oh, have they separated? Yay, they separated! That's good, because if it didn't look like they were going to, if it didn't look like this is the 21st Cruiser Division ships right here, by the way. I used the lock-on camera to navigate a little bit quicker, but if they hadn't looked like they were going to break apart sometime soon, I was about to just call the battle in favor of Force H. But they have pulled apart. Frame rate's back up. We'll probably get tracers back here in a moment. Yep, there they are. 21st Cruiser is pretty badly beaten up, but they've still got a lot of shells they're slinging towards Force H. And those Hesh shells are definitely nothing to scoff at. Oh, that is an 80% in sinking heavy cruiser. She is going down. Going down quick, too. That is game over for that heavy cruiser. That's the Charlotte. Oh, looks like we've got a second one, 80% in sinking. Yeah, these heavy cruisers have some serious firepower, but they seem a bit fragile. They don't take hits particularly well. When they come up against things like battleships that don't instantly die to their shots. See, like, this battleship has lost all of its guns, sure, but it's still afloat and is still a big chunk of HP for Force H. And this battlecruiser over here is doing just fine firing at the enemies. Or at its enemies, anyway. And as long as that battleship stays alive to tank shots, that battlecruiser is basically just going to have free reign on the enemy heavy cruisers. Or the opposing heavy cruisers. You know what I mean. Oh, there was some kind of massive explosion on the King Edward, and the bow has been blown completely off. So, like I said, as long as the battleship stays afloat, but yeah. Oh wow, the battlecruiser is also. Oh, the battlecruiser also had a massive magazine detonation. It looks like, and the bow is missing. So just like that, both of Force H's main ships are just gone, leaving only the little Halcyon-class light cruiser to face off against 2 heavy cruisers. One of them is, however, gaining disqualification time It seems to be sailing off into the sunset, and I don't know if it has the ability to turn. Oh, it's actually 80% in sinking. But I think this one heavy cruiser here is more than a match for the Halcyon class light cruiser, because those Hesh rounds are just gonna absolutely shred a little ship like this. Oh yeah, the Halcyon class has already had all of its weapons destroyed, and the Halcyon would have to kill this heavy cruiser in order to win, because otherwise Force H will just lose by HP. And it is quickly losing health. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and just end this battle here. Not not going to sit here and watch the Lisa Marie basically kick a puppy. That battle is very much over. It was not looking good for the 21st Cruiser Division at first, and then suddenly massive magazine detonations in the battleship and battlecruiser of Force H, and those ships just vanished. So yeah, we'll get round 2 underway here. Force H needs to step it up, and 21st Cruiser needs to not collide with one another. But it looks like we are going to have another collision, unfortunately. This time between the middle and the right one instead of the middle and the left ship. But they're just kind of rubbing up against each other. They're bouncing off now. Looks like they'll separate pretty quickly. Ooh, well, that explosion will definitely help. Yeah, it looks like we have lost tracers. The ships are getting tossed around by hits that we can't see. Yeah, it seems to me like Force H has a bit of an advantage at range. I don't know if their guns are just more accurate or what, but they do seem to have more of an advantage at range, and then once things close in, those Hesh rounds start landing more frequently, and just Hesh hurts. It hurts very badly. The battlecruiser of Force H getting shoved back by a massive explosion there. This gun is... well, oh, okay. That gun doesn't exist anymore. The turret cap is destroyed and just happens to be resting on the deck. I love how the Halcyon class is getting out here out in front, being all brave. Firing its, like, I think it fires like flak or HE rounds, which don't do particularly well against cruisers. Uh-oh. We've got an 80% in sinking cruiser again. Oh, it looks like they may have run into each other, and that's why we were getting that lag. That made a whole bunch of holes in both ships. And that, oh, what? Now this one is too damaged. What happened there? Oh, like all of its turrets were blown off. And it had a whole bunch of its side armor stripped from colliding into its fellow. So that is 2 of the cruisers sunk just like that. Leaving only this one to face up. Ooh, and it just took a hit straight to that turret. Did you see that? Those frag shells from Force H aren't exactly gentle either. And there we go. That is another 2 damaged cruiser. So round 2, Force H. Ooh, the bow of this ship got blown to pieces, but managed to stay at time. So the ship didn't sink. And round 2 is a dominant victory for Force H. So we're going to round 3. This is it for both fleets. Whoever wins this gets to go on. Whoever loses goes home. This is going to be all she wrote for one of these 2 groups of ships. Let's go ahead, get round 3 underway, and see which one it's going to be. Hopefully we can have minimal collision between the 21st Cruiser Division again. Though I do think collision is what caused a significant amount of damage to 2 of the cruisers in the previous round. Just a little love tap there. That isn't so bad. Mostly just damaged slope blocks. Oh, and it turns away now. It's gonna run into this one. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, that was a bit harder of a collision. That was a bit heavier ram between the 2 friendly ships there. And then that rear end swings in and ooh, that explosion sends the middle heavy cruiser launching backwards. Does not look like it's scraped along the side of its friend there too badly, or maybe it did. Oof. Yeah, see, look at all this damage along the side of this heavy cruiser. It was almost certainly caused by that explosion rocking it backwards and grinding against its fellow. And that is a lot of damage. It would be nice if they would stop running into each other and let the frame rate come back up, though. That would be wonderful. I mean, these 2 should be separating, but they're kind of just sticking together. You would think they would be separating from how they're driving, but apparently not. And this one is getting awfully low in the water. Not sure why. Oh, maybe the whole... Yeah, look at all the compartmentalization destroyed. So much of the ship filled with water from that friendly collision. All that buoyancy loss is proving troublesome for that heavy cruiser. And there it is, 80% in sinking. Despawn started. That was basically like almost all of that damage was friendly fire, or well, friendly collision. I mean, just look at how much was scraped down along the side of this heavy cruiser. Oh, it looks like this one managed to repair and recover enough to stay afloat. So that's good news for 21st Cruiser Division. Let's go check on Force H, see how they're doing. Judging by their HP values, they're doing just fine. But let's take a closer look. Yeah, they seem to be doing more or less fine for now. You know, I just commented on that, so I'm sure something's about to explode violently. Looks like the Halcyon is running interference and absorbing some of the shells from 21st Cruiser, which is honestly not the worst idea, considering the Halcyon can't really do anything to 21st Cruiser Division ships. But all three of the heavy cruisers are down right about 70% health. And they have a tendency to sink if they take too much damage. They basically... Seems to me like 21st Cruiser Division's strategy is to just blow the enemy up as quick as they can, and if the battle goes on for too long, they get worn down pretty quick, because while these may be heavy cruiser class ships, they aren't actually armored all that heavily. They're not lightly armored, but they're not, you know, they're not battleships. So when they're under fire with battleship grade weapons from both a battleship and a battle cruiser, that, oh, I forgot to do not disturb Discord, sorry about that. But yeah, when they, it looks like, yep, that's one of the heavy cruisers there is 80% in sinking. And another one right there. And the other one is 2 damaged. So just like that, all of a sudden, all three of the 21st Cruiser Division's heavy cruisers are gone once again, leaving Force H the victor of this battle. And they will be moving on to the next round, and unfortunately 21st Cruiser Division is going home. So yeah, thanks for watching, folks. There was a little bit of the grinding and collision issues in this episode, but not too bad, not too bad. It was tolerable, I guess. But anyways, yeah, like I said, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the battlefield.